All right, so Grandpa, tell me about great grandfather Lippis, the rascal.
Yeah, he was a rascal. He truly was, but he got away with everything. But my grandmother, who was his daughter, uh, her name was Anna Lippis. Uh, she was born in a village called Taranda in the province of Abruzia in Italy. And they had a little farm there. But I used to think that that farm was just a regular farm. But now that I know more about Abruzia, I know that what the people in Taranda did, they were basically shepherds. They kept sheep. I'm sure they did. They had a garden for their own household, but basically their crop was wool, wool and mutton and so forth. But anyway, my grandfather and my great grandfather and my great grandmother had two daughters, Mary, the older one, and Anna, who was my grandmother, and my great grandmother was pregnant with their grandson, who was later named Benito. When my great grandfather came in and said that he had a job over in somewhere in Africa. I think it was in North Africa, although my sister Ginny seems to think it could have been South Africa, but I'm not sure. But anyway, my great grandfather was some kind of an engineer. Now, how he got that training, I don't know, because I'm sure he never went to college or anything. And I'm not sure what kind of an engineer it was, but I would think it was either civil or more likely mining. But anyhow, he told his wife, well, I'm going to Africa, and I have this job, and I'll send money back to the family every month, and so what could she do? She let him go. Well, he's gone. 20 years go by.
20 years?
20 years. Nobody hears from this guy. Yeah, not a word. In the meantime, my great-grandmother and these little kids, they have to run this little farm. They're poor as church mice. My great-grandmother takes in washing to make ends meet. 20 years later, the church finds them over in Africa somewhere. Well, the church told them, either you go back to Italy now, or you're never going to see your family again, because they're starting one by one to go off to America. Well, at that point, he came back. And my great grandmother then, when he left, my grandmother was only 1 year old, and she wasn't even sure she really had a father, because to her that could have been just some kind of story. But anyhow, when he comes back, they go down with a horse and buggy to pick him up at the railroad, and he gets off the train. He's wearing this linen suit and a Panama hat, and he has this big thing of fancy clothes. And his wife, my great-grandmother, said, how do I know you're really my Dominic? And my grandmother said he winked at her, and she could tell from his wink that was Dominic.
So he went over to Africa and he got rich?
Well, he didn't get rich, but he was doing fine, you know. While his family was struggling in Italy.
What happened to the money he was going to send back?
You know, well, who knows? but anyhow, now he's back, and he tells them, oh, when I was in Africa and I would see a hungry kid on the street, I would give him the money, and I would hope that somebody would do that to my kids in Italy.
Oh, what a rascal.
Now, see, if I told someone a story like that, I'd never get away with that. But this little Dominic, he could do that. Little Dominic was 5'2". He was a natty-looking little guy. You know, and apparently the women liked him. And he had this charisma. So when he got back, so I asked my grandmother, I said, well, didn't you resent your father? She said, oh no, when he got back, he was a good father. So he got away with this. He did this, went off for 20 years, and nobody seemed to hold it against him. And I said, well, now what did he do in Africa? She said, well, he didn't want to talk about it, so we didn't ask. So there's quite a good possibility that he has another family over there in Africa somewhere.
Oh, wow.
You know, and what kind of family, I don't know, but if it was North Africa, it could, be an Arab type family, because that's mainly what's up there. If it's in South Africa, who knows? It could be anything.
Hmm.
But so we could have relatives somewhere in Africa. I don't know. Anyhow, then he also came to the United States, and he worked over here. He worked as a miner, the same as the rest of them did. And then they would pull their money, and they would send back and get the women one by one to come over until the whole family was over here.
Huh.
But that was Dominic Lippis, and he got away with everything.
That's a good story.